This is KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and this is Stephen Marc Weiss. Stephen, thanks for coming in today.
My pleasure.
We see you occasionally in your role as the head of the theater department at Coe College.
One of several members of the faculty.
Yes, okay. One of the directing staff and teaching staff at Coe in the theater department. Yes. But you are taking advantage of your summer break to get on the other side of the stage just a little bit by doing
it. It's very exciting because I don't get many opportunities to do this.
And the show is called Heroes, and it's at the Old Creamery Theater.
In the studio.
In the studio theater, in the intimate place.
Yes.
So tell me about Heroes.
Boy, this was a play that was first written for the Boulevard Theaters in Paris. It's a French play by Gérald Cibleyras. And in 2005, it was translated into English by Tom Stoppard, who's a great English playwright in his own right. The original title of the play was Le Vent des Peupliers, The Wind in the Poplars. Poplar trees feature very prominently in the plot of the play, but fearing that English-speaking audiences would confuse it with The Wind in the Willows, Stoppard just simplified the title and called it Heroes. It's three old codgers who are veterans of World War I. It's now 1959, so they're in their 60s or so, and they live in an old soldier's home, in a home for veterans in rural France. And they while away their boredom and their daytime hours sitting on a terrace chewing the fat. It's really a character study. There's not a lot of action per se, but it's very, very funny because each of these characters has his own peculiar eccentricities and foibles, and the mix of the three of them is constantly bringing up comic values.
Now, it's a French play, so obviously in the beginning these guys were all French. Are you French in this?
We are playing it in France, but because it's been translated into English by
obviously you're in English. You're
doing it in English, not affecting French accents, affecting British accents, because the idioms, the language is so British.
Interesting.
That to try to Americanize it would sort of lose some of the value, I think, some of the comic value. The other thing I love about this play is, in addition to being a raucous comedy most of the time, because these guys are, their lives are pretty sad in many ways. There are some touchdown moments of great poignancy in this piece too. So it has everything. It has a lot of human value, a lot of humanity, because in the end you kind of feel for these guys. But most of the time, you're just laughing at their escapade.
Well, they're just old, they're funny old guys.
Yeah,
grumpy old men.
They find out early in the play that this terrace that's kind of private, because the three of them are resident there. They spend most of their time there. There's another terrace that most of the residents of the home stay on. In the front of they stay in the back of the home. But it's going to be closed down for renovations, and so they fear that everybody's going to be coming and converging on their. So the character that I play, Gustav, who's agoraphobic, he's terrified of people and crowds, agoraphobic. He concocts a plan for them to escape. And his first plan is French Indochina, right? And then one of the other characters, Philippe, says, well, why don't we just go up to those poplars up there, up on the hill? And that's where they decide to escape. But of course, like Waiting for Godot, which this play resembles in some ways, there's no way they're going anywhere. So it's a lot of fun.
Now, because they're all veterans from World War I, is there a lot of memories of the war, or is it really more how that experience colored how they are now?
It's more of the latter. It's more the fact that the war is always there in the background in their lives. They don't talk about the war very much. They talk about their lives after the war. They talk about the staff of the home that they live in, the soldiers' home. The war comes up occasionally, but it's not a huge factor.
I think it's an interesting parallel that this play takes place at a time when the World War I veteran is about the same age as the Vietnam veteran now.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So it's you and two other actors, David Combs. We've met before. He's been in a few times. And
he
Jason
plays Henri, and Jason Gruby, who plays Philippe. David's character, Henri, has been in the home 25 years, and Jason's for 10. And I'm the newbie. I've arrived 6 months before the play's action begins, so I've kind of the other character in the play who features in the play is a 200-pound stone dog that I've taken on as my pet.
Yeah.
And when we decide we're going to go up to the poplars and escape from our terrace, I insist we have to take the dog with us. He's become my friend.
Talking with Stephen Marc Weiss about the upcoming production of Heroes at the Old Creamery Theater studio stage. So this is the first time you've had a chance to be on stage as opposed to being a director for a while. Did you have any adjustments that kind of surprised you, having to go back to it after a while?
Not really. 2 years ago, I produced a production of Red at the Cherry Building that I played Mark Rothko in. And, I've tried to stay active as an actor as much as possible. It's really tough. I mean, I direct 1 or 2 plays a year at Coe, and sometimes we go away to London in May, and my wife and I. So it's tricky to find time because it takes time to put a play together. One thing I decided to do for this production that's really helped me out is I decided I had the script about 3 weeks before we started rehearsals, and I studied and studied and studied, and I learned my lines. So I arrived day one pretty much memorized, and it's really helped me. I'm at a point now where I feel like I can really interact with the other characters, not worry as much about my lines. What surprises me, perhaps more than anything else, Dennis, is that I can actually still, at my age, memorize the lines. Yeah. I mean, it gets harder and harder as you get older, but it's been great. I wanted to get involved with the Creamery for a number of years. I auditioned for Sean McCall, the artistic director, some years ago, and he really nothing came of it at first. There were no roles he really had for me. And then last year he tried to get me involved in a play, and I was off to London to teach for 5 months. And this year he contacted me again, and it so happened I had the time, and I was like, yes. And then when I read the play, it was like a bonus because I fell in love with the play immediately upon reading it. It's just delightful.
When do you open?
We open next Thursday, a week from
today.
From today.
Okay.
And that's a matinee performance. So our performances are for 3 weekends. We close on the 19th. We open on the 2nd, and we close on the 19th. So we have matinees on Thursdays and Sundays, and evening performances on Fridays and Saturdays.
And because this is a studio show, slightly shorter run than sometimes when we see on the main stage.
Yeah,
so
3 weeks.
So don't dally.
And there are only maybe 75 seats
right.
in the studio. So.
Well, it just sounds like a delightful play. When I was reading the summary of it before you came in, I thought it sounded interesting. I did not pick up that it was funny.
Oh, it's very funny.
So
really
yeah, so go
is.
Prepared to laugh.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's a very funny play.
The play is Heroes. It opens a week from today in the Old Creamery Studio Theater. And of course, if you'd like tickets or more information, it's oldcreamery.com. Stephen Marc Weiss, thanks so much for being here, and come back sometime in the fall or winter and tell us what's going on at Coe.
I absolutely will. Thank you, Dennis.